Good morning. Good morning. Hey, thanks for being here. It's been a while since I pressed that go live button, a couple of months probably. So, yeah, I might be a little rusty here. We'll see, but I'm looking forward to doing a stream. I got up this morning and I felt like it's really a good time to do some casual coding together with all of you on stream, even if you're watching after the live stream. Uh, it will be a fun time. We're gonna build a event bus for Tempest. And Tempest, speaking of which, that's an even older project that I haven't streamed for probably half a year now. It's a framework that I'm building together with a couple people. And we've been building it on stream as well. I have this whole playlist here, and you can check it out after the stream, of course. First, watch this one, where yeah, we go through building a micro framework together. It's pretty cool, and I'm super excited about it. I've been working on it for quite a while now, 2 weeks probably. I dove back into the code, and it makes me super happy. Um, First things first, small detail here. You might have read that I'm a little sick. I've been sick for 2 months now, nothing serious. I have this cough and I'm like my nose is stuffed and stuff like that, and it's not going away. So yeah, I don't know how this stream will go. If I start coughing, I'll mute myself or I'll try to turn away. Um, so I'm sorry for that in advance. I didn't want to just wait until it's gone because it might take a while. So I want to do some streaming, and yeah, you'll have to do with what's here, basically. Um, it's good to see some people in chat as well. Hasnat, thanks for being here. Super nice. You were here pretty early. Appreciate that. Um, Mokosh, I don't know if I'm pronouncing names correctly, folks, but I really appreciate you being here. Um, and oh, you're helping with my coffee. Have you tried putting honey in hot water and drinking it? Yes, I've tried a lot of things. I'm on an inhaler now, a nasal spray, and it's not really working. So I'm going to the doctor once again to at the end of the week, and I hope she'll give me a new type of medication. I don't know. We'll see. Um, Let me Mojtaba, something like that. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Super nice that you're here. Appreciate it. And oh yeah, you stay away from inhalers. I don't know. I've tried a lot of things, and it's just super frustrating. I don't know. It returns every year. By the way, it's been like this ongoing thing for several years now. But yeah, exactly. I hope to get better soon as well. And like you say, permanently. I'm really sick of it. Um, Someone else is joining here. Aftandel. Once again, sorry for the names, but super nice that you're here. Let's get into coding, right? That's what we're here for. We're going to build an event bus today. So Tempest, I'm not going to go through what Tempest is. It's a framework, we're building it, and if you want to learn about it, go check out the playlist here. Links are in the description. The code now is open source, so you can just go to the URL here. The link is in the description as well, so you can check it out. And yeah, an event bus is what we're building today. It's something that I've done before, so it felt like a safe thing to do on stream. I know where we're going with this. And yeah, let's dive into it. I have the Tempest source code here. You'll probably see me run Composer QA from time to time. This just runs all QA tools and checks that everything works. And we'll just start from scratch, basically build an event bus and see where it leads us. Hi Ali, by the way. I'm like I said, I'm still coughing a bit, but I'm doing fine. I'm glad that we're here together. So one of the things in Tempest, one of like the core principles of Tempest is that we avoid inheritance. Uh, that's a rant for another video, and it might take a couple blog posts to explain why. I already talked about this quite a lot. So we're using interface and traits. We're not relying on abstract classes. I really don't think they promote good practices. So interfaces and traits. So let's start here with an event bus, which is the interface we'll use, and it will have one method, right? A dispatch method, and it will take an object called event, and it will not return anything, because that's one of the core principles of event-driven systems. You dispatch an event and you don't really care what happens with it. It can have multiple handlers. Things can even go over the wire, which is a feature we do plan on adding in Tempest. Like sending events to other microservices or to a system like Kafka or RabbitMQ that like handles all messaging. That is something we do plan on adding. But for now, we're talking about internal events. So the framework and user code can dispatch events, and there can be handlers. So this is the interface we'll work with. One of the very important things in Tempest is also that our events, they are just data objects. They don't extend any classes. They don't need to implement any interfaces. An event is an object. And how we connect events to their handlers is by using a principle called discovery. Discovery basically is a pretty cool system in Tempest that will look at all the code available and will determine what that code should do. So for example, let me take a controller here. We have a test controller. So it controllers with controller methods with several routes. If Tempest encounters like a method with a route, it knows it is a controller method, and it registers that method with its route into the router. You don't need to do any configuration for it, right? We don't have to write dumb code. Tempest is smart enough to know what it should do. It does the same for console commands for the command bus, which I already wrote, and it's going to do the same for event handlers. So let's actually go back to our event bus here, and let's take a look at our command bus interface. It also has a get history method, which I'll probably refactor. Okay, so I don't really need to add anything else here. What we need is an implementation of this event bus, right? So let's go to our events folder here. Actually, let's do it like this. Generic event bus is a naming convention. Like the concrete implementation, I prefix with generic, but this might change. I don't really like this naming convention. There's an issue for it, but nothing I want to be concerned with right now. So let's write an implementation here. So we'll dispatch an event. We'll need to find out which handlers can manage those events, and then call each handler with the event, right? So let's assume here we have, for now, an array of handlers. And this array will look something like this. It will, I should have a multi-line comment here. It will be an array, and every event, so event and A, will have an array of handlers, which is handler AA, handler AB, like so. Okay, so this is a structure we're working with. So if we have this array of handlers, we can just find the handlers and pass the event to it. So our dispatch method, let's actually use our AI generated input here. I'll make some changes here. So let's say handlers equals this handlers event class. Okay, we can get rid of that. Oh, then we'll loop over our handlers. Turns out our AI generated input wasn't all that useful, but handlers. And oh yeah, let's also assume that our handlers are actually reflection methods. Oh, reflection methods. So let's type in that here for reflection method, like so. And then we can say handler call, what's it? I forgot the method. What's the method to, oh, invoke, of course. Oh yeah, we need an instance of our handler class as well. So let's resolve that via the container, and we'll do that. We'll inject the container here. private container like so. And so we'll say handler class equals this container get. I'll say handler get declaring class get name like this. Then we have our class, we have our methods, then we can say handler invoke handler class, and I think, yeah, we pass arguments like so. Okay. So what's happening here? Let's go to the GitHub issue. This is basically assuming we have an array of handlers, right? Assuming that we have this. Dispatching an event isn't much more than finding the handlers for that event and actually calling those methods with that event. So let's say this is an event handler here. It takes my event and the event bus will dispatch like all objects of my event to this class, this method over here. Let's take a look at chat as well. You know, when I start coding, I don't really look at chat anymore, so I'll take some time to go through it. Someone asked here if bitrate is pretty low. I hope not. Let me know if there are any problems. Someone, I doubt your name is Laravel, but hey Laravel, appreciate you joining. And Topalek, I guess. Hi, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. So we have our generic event bus, right? A couple of things we need to do now. First of all, we need to be able to resolve this generic event bus from the container. In Tempest, there is something called initializers. So let's add an attribute here, initialized by. So, and we'll have to create a class that knows how to create an instance of event bus. In this case, it will be a generic event bus. So let's add it here. Let's say PHP class. Let's say event bus initializer. It implements the initializer interface. Let's just add our method stubs here. And so the only thing we need to do is add our is return a generic event bus here, but I also want to register it as a singleton dependency so that we don't always have to reconstruct it every time we call the event bus. So let's do it like this. We'll say event bus equals new generic event bus, like so, and we'll need to pass in the container here and our array of handlers here, and this is the one we'll have to work on next. We'll then register the event bus as a singleton in the container. So for the whenever we request the interface, so that's event bus, we'll want to return our concrete implementation generic event bus in our case, and then we'll just return our event bus as well, so that the first time the container requests our event bus, when this singleton hasn't been registered yet, we'll actually get an instance. That's the idea. Good. So this array, and this is where we'll get into discovery, and this is the fun part, right? This is not gonna be just an array with reflection methods. It's gonna be a class called event config, or event bus config rather. And let's actually steal. Oh yeah, here it is, command bus config. Let's steal our config from the command bus because it's gonna be pretty much the same actually. Oh yeah, there will be middleware as well, which we'll come back to later, right? So this is our config class, and this config class is gonna be built with the discovery. And an important thing to note here is that everything that's being discovered by Tempest will get cached. So you're not always looping over all files. It's super fast, and once it's cached, you don't know it's there anymore. But it's super convenient because it allows you to have almost zero config. So let's assume we'll work from the back and then towards discovery. Let's just refactor our event bus first, our generic implementation here. Instead of an array of handlers here, we'll inject private event bus config like so. which has a list of handlers. So it's just a matter of changing like one call here. Also, let's add a fallback here because some events might not have handlers. That's totally fine. So I don't think we really need to do anything else at this point, except of course have this work. So let's remove read-only here because we do need to like mutate these config objects at runtime. So oh yeah, and here we have actually an array of command handlers. We'll need an array of event handlers, of course, in this case. Event handler, which is an attribute, right? Which is like how we notify the framework that a method is an actual event handler. So let's say attribute here. And actually, it doesn't need anything like any kind of input because we can determine the method name and the event name from the method definition. But what it does need is, and I'm going to copy this from, where it is, oh yeah, here. I'm going to copy this from command handler as well because it needs, actually, let's copy everything. It needs some metadata, right? Just for convenience. Constructor is empty. Let's actually remove that here as well then. Like so. It needs a event name, set event name, which is the class name of the event that we're going to handle for this one. Event name, and it will get a handler, and then like these config entries are getting cached. They're getting serialized in PHP, which is what like makes discovery super fast. It also means that we need to manually implement serialize and unserialize because in PHP you cannot serialize reflection methods directly because they close over a specific scope and PHP can't serialize that. But in our case, we don't really need the whole reflection method here. We just need the reference to a class and a method. And we use reflection because we already have a reflection available. You'll see that in a minute. So serialize, we'll just change this as well. Command name to event name. Okay. So this is done. And in our event bus config, we'll say events. This will be not a generic event bus, but will be an event handler, an array of event handlers. Okay. So back to our generic event bus here. It will get this config and it will have an array of handlers, which are event handlers. That means that we actually need to do some refactoring here still. So for each handler as handler, we'll need to add. Actually, it's weird that it's not getting auto-completion here. Let's add a doc block here for now. Event handler array. Yeah. And we'll say handler get declaring class and then handler invoke like this. Let's rename this to event handler just to have some more distinction, right? Okay, good. So things are falling into place. We still need to provide this config to the event bus. So from the initializer's point of view, remember initializer classes. Whenever we like request an instance of event bus somewhere in our application, Tempest will check if there's a singleton in the container. If there is no singleton available, it will call this initializer class to actually create an instance of event bus. And oh, we still need to configure it here. Event bus initializer, like so. It does so because it knows this attribute on the interface here. So so this is the place where we pass in this config, and actually that's not really all that difficult. Let's just say get config classes are classes in Tempest, so they are singletons in the container as well. So we can just call what was it called? Event bus config, like so. And so from the initializer point of view, this is everything we need to do. Cool. Just checking the comments here. Always have been this way. I might look into that. I don't know. It might be StreamYard that streams in a lower resolution then. I'm not sure. I hope it's readable. I can increase my my zoom a little bit if that helps. Let's do it like this. Okay, cool. It's not for. I'm not streaming in 4K. That's right. It should be 180p. I don't know. Let's move to the discovery, because that's the most fun part actually. And discovery is in a separate folder here. Let's let's actually copy over the command bus discovery, because we'll have some things to work with here. So cache path is event bus discovery, and event bus like this. Okay, so what's happening here? Every discovery class, right? It gets fed basically every file that the framework discovered. So this method is called every time a Tempest encounters a reflection class. Basically, Tempest will crawl the app folder. It will crawl itself and all vendor packages basically. So every class that's in my app folder here will pass through this discover method. And you might think that's slow. It's pretty fast even when it's not cached, but it gets cached, so you don't really notice that. In this case, we're trying to discover event handlers, right? So, and event handlers are methods that have the event handler attribute. So we get a class here. We'll loop over all public methods, and we'll check whether each of those methods has an event handler attribute. If it doesn't have this attribute, we'll just continue. Otherwise, we'll get the parameters. And in case of event handlers, they should only ever have one parameter, which is the event itself. So if that parameter array doesn't have a count of 1, we'll just continue and ignore this method. Okay. Next step, and this is very similar to what command handling does, so we can just copy that. We'll get the type from that first parameter. So in this case, that's my event, right? So that's how we know that my event, whenever that's dispatched, it has a handler, and it's this method. Okay, so if it's not a named type, we'll continue. If the class of this type for some reason doesn't exist, we'll continue as well. But if all of that succeeds, so if we have a method with an event handler attribute with exactly one parameter and exactly a typed class that actually exists, then we'll add our handler to our event bus config. And let's change that here to event. It should be event handler here. Let's refactor this event handler. Set event name. This is because I copied everything, of course. Set handler. Okay. Oh yeah, and we need to do this because a command can only have one handler, but an event can have multiple handlers. So we need like a nested array. Actually, I need to do it like this. Yeah. That means I also need to change my generic bus implementation. No, that's fine. That actually doesn't matter. Back to our discovery class here. So we'll add our handler. We'll say event handler. Let's also rename this here. Event handler like this. So an event name. Oh yeah, and naming conventions, right? So our event handler is the attribute itself, right? And the event name is like type of the first parameter. That's fine. And then the handler is the reflection method. Let's actually call this reflection method because that's a little clearer, right? Whenever we add a handler, like this event handler attribute will get changed because it needs to know about this method, but like PHP needs to keep track of that. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, we need some kind of reference. So a little bit of weird code here. Maybe there's a better way to do that. But basically that's everything that needs to be added here. Add middleware, we're just ignoring for now. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's all Discovery should need to do. It has some more methods, like for caching, right? But we don't really need to be concerned with that because that's already, it should work, right? And let's take a look here. Command bus discovery, we should add it in our package here. This is something that will change. We still need to manually add discovery classes in an array here, which doesn't really make sense because I can discover discovery classes as well, which I will do in the future, but it's something that I haven't done yet. Okay, so we have our event bus discovery. Let's run through everything now. Okay, so we have our let's start from the top. We have our event bus discovery, and its task is to create this event bus config, or not create it, but to instantiate it with all the required handlers here. So this discovery class will only run before it's cached. That's not entirely true, but for simplicity, let's say it's cached and you don't have to worry about it. So it gets fed all files, all classes within your application, and it knows which ones it should pick out to detect whether there's an event handler for a specific event. So it builds, this class builds this config file, or config class rather. Oh, there was like some kind of noise outside anyway. It builds this config class and it caches it. Okay, that's what discovery does. Then we have our event bus, let's see here, interface, which is what user code will work with. And we tell the container that it should use this class to actually initialize that event bus for the first time. That event bus actually is an instance of generic event bus, and it will get the container as an argument because we need it, and it will also get that config class that's been cached and stored somewhere. Don't worry about it. It also registers the event bus itself as a singleton, so that we don't always have to reinstantiate it during one life cycle. And let's think I think that's basically it. Then we have our generic event bus implementation, which is super simple for now. It will find the handlers for a given event, and it will call all of those handlers for that event. Basically, that's it. Now we've written 0 tests. Okay, who thinks, give a thumbs up or thumbs down in chat, who says that this is gonna work first time. So thumbs up if you think yes, thumbs down if you think no. While you're doing that, I'm gonna create a test and let's see what happens. Oh yeah, I need this one. And let's actually move this test. Ooh. Let's move it to events. So no one is giving any thumbs up or down. That means you all don't really trust me for this to work out of the box. We'll see. It works. Let's just say it like that. We have a class here. It's a simple class. Like I said, events, they don't really have to extend anything. Let's say event happened. Let's say it happened. This is an event, right? And then we have a read-only class, my event handler. It can have multiple event handlers. It can only have one. That's up to you, how you want to structure your code. Let's say it has one method here. Handle it happened. It happened. Event. It returns nothing. And let's just do a very, very quick and dirty thing here. Let's say a public static boolean it happened is false. Cannot. Oh, you cannot declare static properties in read-only classes. I didn't know that. Okay. Let's just say let's do it like this then. And let's say whenever this event is dispatched to this method, we'll say self it happened is true. I'll need to write a better test case here, but for now it's good. And let's annotate this with event handler like this. Okay. Okay, will it work or not? We'll see. We'll see this container get event bus. Event bus. And we'll say event bus dispatch new it happened. Let's first set my event handler it happened on false. And then assert true. My event handler it happened. Simple test, right? Will it work or not? No one in chat said anything. I'm a little disappointed. Anyway, I'm gonna run this test, I think. Oh, it failed. But what happened? Oh, I have a typo somewhere that happened. Oh, did I refactor something wrong? I definitely did. This is annoying. I don't know why this happens. Let's command bus discovery for some reason. Did I make changes in the wrong file? Is that what happened? Classic. Yeah. Command bus config. Where's my... Yeah, I made changes in the wrong file. Yeah, that happens. Actually, let's copy over this to... Oh, it is here. Why did it change here? Command bus config. Okay, let's revert everything here. Okay. That's anticlimactic, right? Command handler, why did this change? Oh no, that's fine. And what happened here? Oh, nothing. Okay, cool. Let's run the test again. And okay, could not resolve event bus. I forgot to register my config as well, which was one last thing. I had it on my mind and I forgot. Let's take a look here. Where did I put that? Oh yeah, I know. I still need to add a config file here, which is a default config file basically. Event bus, new event bus config. Should it work now? Let's see. Still not. Okay, but our code works at least. Let's debug now what's wrong, right? And let's check chat here. Better not push that code without updating your config types. I don't even know what you're saying, Aiden. Aiden is, by the way, helping with Tempest. And there are some performance issues. I don't know why that happens. I'll have to check that out later after the stream. So it doesn't work, obviously. Would have been so cool. Would have been so cool. Okay, so let's take a look here. Our event bus config is probably where we want. Okay, it's empty. Our event bus config is empty. So that means that our event bus discovery, something is wrong over there. Yeah. But I know what happened. I forgot this, and then I refactored stuff, and then yeah. So event bus config. And okay. Event handler. Okay, like this, and then we say we're in the right file, right? Event name. Set event name, like so, and then reflection method, which is a better name. Okay, cool. What happens now? So, oh, did I remove my DD? Generic event bus. Yeah, okay, it's still empty. And so that means we'll have to look through here, right? So let's just dump out hi here. Okay, so are there any event handlers? Oh, I already know why it doesn't work. I put my event handler in the wrong folder. Yeah, okay. Events. Let's make those two files here. This is something I need to fix, but this is issue with my tests. What was it called? Event bus tests. So events. It happened, right? Let's remove this. And then my event handler, which has all of this. Ooh. Yeah, what happens is that the test folder isn't discovered. I could actually do just that probably, but this is easier. This is better. Okay, so we have our separate classes now. Let's oh no, it's the wrong namespace now. Why does my event handler and it happened? Yeah, okay. Now, it's still empty. Uh-oh. Back to discovery then. So do we end up here now? Yeah, we do. Okay. So, we'll check parameters. I did add one parameter, right? Yeah. It happened. Okay. Yeah, sure. So, let's take a look at our type here. It's reflection name type as expected. And class exists, type get name. I would expect it exists, but it's false. Okay. Why? Oh, that was the reason. Okay. Now it's true, and now let's run our test. Now we have another exception, unknown. named parameter event. Yeah. Where did this happen? Over here. Dude. Like this. Ha. Okay. Now we get back here. We have our handlers, right? Which, actually, event handlers. It should be this. This should be an array, right? This shouldn't be... Let's clean some things up here. This should be like this. Yeah, that was the reason. Should it work now? Let's see. Yes, now it's an array. Okay. Let's hope. Let's hope. Ha! Now it works. You see, first time. Nice. Cool. Okay, so in my defense, like, what got messed up was, well, it's not in my defense. I totally messed it up. I basically refactored the wrong class. And I had to clean it up the mess afterwards. But okay, so now our event bus works, right? And now I want to try something out. Because I have this, what was it called? Migration command. Ooh, migrate command, right? So there's this command, migrate. This is why I needed the event bus in the first place. So this migrate command, it uses a migration manager to basically run all migrations, right? All new migrations. Migrations that had already run, they are ignored. Now let's open my database here. And let's take a look. So there's this migration table, right? Let's remove all of these. Kind of remove, yeah, like that. And if we now run our migrate command again, this will make sense in a second. Hang on. Then, okay, our migrations are run again. Our author and book tables are added. Okay, cool. What we want to do is we want to have some output here for every migration that's run, but we don't want to like tie this command directly to the migration manager. So what I want to do is console commands. Oh, okay, migration manager. This is where I want to be. Migration. Let's add an event here. Migration ran. That's a events should have like the past tense name. I don't know. I'm thinking migrated. I can say migration migrated, but that's a little weird naming, right? Let's just keep migration migrated for now. And it will have, for now, it will just have a public string name. That's fine, that's fine. So, and whenever one migration is run here, let's go in our loop, execute up, basically. Migration create, blah, blah, blah. And then we can say, oh, we still need a function here. You might not like this, but I do. I have these functions that basically wrap the container. So let's say event bus in our case, object event. Let's rename this to event bus. Yeah, okay, that should be it. So now we can just trigger event here. Oh, I need to do that. And let's say new migration migrated. And get name, something like this. Okay, I think that makes sense. And now in our migrate command, we can add a new method here, and we can say event handler on migration migrated, and this is within the context of our console command, right? We'll say console success. I don't know how we'll format it, but let's say event name. So what happens now if we run this? Hey, we get a list of our names here. This is pretty cool. Let's just do right line, by the way. And now nothing happens because our migrations have already run, right? So we can refresh here. Let's remove them once again and run our migration command. And okay, here we have it. Cool. That's what I what I wanted to do. And this is something I really like about Tempest, by the way, that like we have this console command here, and it's just configured with 2 attributes. We don't have to worry about any configuration. We don't have to do anything in the container to make this work. It just works, and I really like that. So yeah, we made a basic event bus, pretty nice. And this one, of course. But now there's a couple more things to do that I'll do off stream. Namely, so I mentioned Aiden. He's helping me quite a lot here. Yeah, we need to add some more stuff because we do want to support like transports for RabbitMQ and Kafka, stuff like that, so that we can send events to third-party to external services that will handle our events for us. And we still need to think about how we want to do that. So it requires some more thinking, which is something I will do off stream. But yeah, I had fun. Went a little less smooth than I had hoped, but well, we got somewhere, right? So let's just casually add an event bus. Let's commit and push that. If you want to check out the source code, it's here. Do give a star if you want to. I'd appreciate that. There are some issues here. If you want to contribute, you can check out the good first issues. However, I already added the migrate command now, so let's close this one. But yeah, there are some things to check out, and it's a pretty fun problem space to work in. It's not your like average project. Basically, it's framework code. It's a bit more low level, might be a bit more abstract, but it's really fun. So if you want to help out, you know where to go. Appreciate you watching, and yeah, leave a like. Don't forget that, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye bye.